Wow, I can't catch a break. Okay, everybody, shocking fucking news. This midnight, last night, literally as soon as I went to sleep, because I can't get a freaking break, I guess we're really doing Looney Tunes this week all week because fucking Zaslav, angered and furious that he can't figure out how to make money out of the Looney Tunes, has decided that if he can't make money with them, then fuck them all. He's gonna sell them to pay for his chicken nuggies. Oh my god. Okay, I'm Mute Buster Green and let's do this. Okay, yeah, so this broke out of a Yahoo Entertainment news report that now Warner Brothers is looking to sell all of the Looney Tunes all together and just fucking offload them. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so there's a quote here from this guy, Jeff Schneider, that says, yeah, Warner Brothers is looking to rid themselves of the Looney Tunes. Rid themselves. Wow, that's harsh. I'm told that the reason WB decided to sell Coyote vs. Acme to Ketchup rather than take a tax credit is because the studio is just trying to sell them all together. There's been no official comment on the matter from Warner Brothers yet. However, it's worth noting that the original Looney Tunes that ran from 1930 to 1969 were recently taken off Max. Yeah, I talked about that already. And that they reported that the Looney Tunes are no longer viewed as a priority and the streamer will prioritize adult and family programming. Okay, yeah, so that's about it for the article. There's really nothing else newsworthy there, but I know some people, so I asked around. My top secret insider deep state friend is telling me that here's the top secret news. This might be some bullshit just to pacify me. He might not actually know anything, but according to him, he thinks it's most likely as it stands that the streaming service that will probably buy the Looney Tunes rights from Warner Brothers is Paramount Plus. Now, the reason here is because Paramount Plus used to be Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon had a history of previously airing Looney Tunes on Nick in the 90s. And also, Paramount Plus technically doesn't have any kids programming from before the 80s. So there's a chance they could spin it into a positive. I'm fully behind this because if I'm being nice, even though Paramount Plus is kind of just being run the same way that CBS has been run for 100 years, it gives me a little bit more stability than some of the other networks, and I think they're doing okay. Now, second behind Paramount Plus, there's a chance that Sony wants to buy them. Sony is also showing a very, very interest in buying the Looney Tunes. If Sony bought them, they would then have to license them to Netflix because Sony and Netflix have a distribution deal. Sony apparently wants to mostly continue making original animated films starring the Looney Tunes. And yeah, actually, now that I think about that, when's the last time Sony Pictures Animation made anything? Wasn't like their last movie like Mitchell's vs. the Machines like years ago? I know Spider-Verse has been trapped in development hell, so I think like maybe Sony Animation is like farming for a hit and they think the Looney Tunes is an easy hit. According to my friend, the odds of Netflix buying it themselves are very low because Netflix has famously gutted their animation department lately and they just don't seem like they're interested in that right now. Apple might want it, but Apple Plus is kind of floundering as a service lately. Their content is kind of weak. And Universal is also high on the list of studios that want it. Okay, let's talk about Universal because there's actually enough data there that I can make like a whole like section about it. So the Universal theory goes, there's one person we know who really loves the Looney Tunes more than anyone, would have the money to save them, and would want to buy them the most. You know who that is? It's their goddamn old big brother. Goddamn Steven Spielberg. Now, theoretically, Spielberg could buy the tunes and put them up with DreamWorks. DreamWorks is doing okay lately, but also DreamWorks has been making big cuts in the streaming wars and flipping over to sequels. I guess the Looney Tunes could work into that model, but I do think pessimistically DreamWorks wouldn't be the best because the tunes wouldn't be their first priority. Their first priority is like Shrek 5, Wild Robot 2, How to Train Your Live Action Dragon. And also Peacock, the streaming service that's backing up DreamWorks, has some pretty weak streaming offerings. So honestly, yeah, they would benefit from collecting the Looney Tunes and even collecting Cartoon Network if that was on the table. About a month ago, I got a 1-week trial of Peacock and I was kind of shocked at how weak their offerings are. Like the only thing that I found like worth watching was like some SNL reruns and that Lego Pharrell movie. A lot of people are asking if Disney would buy them. According to my insider friend, Disney is the absolute least likely to buy them because they can't even get Mickey Mouse right these days, and they have enough problems cleaning up their own house first. So yeah, that tracks with me. As it was, I meant to do a video about this, but Disney Animation has been making some pretty steep and insane cuts that is like a whole other story for another time. Amazon really doesn't give a shit. I feel like if Amazon picked them up, they would probably show them, but it would just get buried in Amazon's already like unsorted mountain of crap. Some people are asking if Ketchup, who just bought Day the Earth Blew Up and is trying to buy Coyote, would buy the whole brand. I'm going to say that that's actually very unlikely, because unless WB is also selling the entire WB animation department, which they're not, I don't see this happening. But it is fucking criminal that they fired so many of the artists working at Cartoon Network before they pulled a stunt like this. You know, instead of just selling it back then and trying to protect people's livelihoods. There's also currently no known price point on the Looney Tunes brand sale because it hasn't actually gone through yet. But as Ketchup is still struggling to sell tickets to Day the Earth Blew Up, so it can pay the $50 million to buy Coyote versus Acme, I think as it is, Ketchup's kind of pushed to its limit, and they would have no actual financial ability to buy the entire Looney Tunes brand. So I think you guys should still support Day the Earth Blew Up so they can buy Coyote versus Acme, but it would take like a miracle for Ketchup to be able to buy all the Looney Tunes right now. Yeah, apparently the sale option has been WB's trump card play for a while, but they haven't moved to it until now because they were passively being lackluster and considering what the fuck they were going to do. And this fucking around is why Coyote versus Acme has been in fucking limbo for 2 years, because they didn't want to outright sell it, because if Coyote versus Acme really is the hit movie that everyone thinks it is, more people would be like, what the fuck is Zaslav doing? Why would he sell these beloved mascots when they just had this big hit movie? I think that's actually the main reason Coyote versus Acme got suppressed, because it would either stifle or adjust the value of the sale, which apparently Zaslav is just trying to get rid of this as efficiently as possible. Now, I will say that this is actually looking good for the future of the Looney Tunes, though. This definitely isn't the end. If anything, this is a great chance for them to bounce back. Historically, in the 1950s, WB was also doing really bad after World War II, so they sold the Looney Tunes to a United Artists subsidiary called AAP, who held on to them until 1982, when WB strategically bought half of them back. But the ridiculous thing is they only bought half of them back. The other half were bought by Ted Turner in 1986 so he could start Cartoon Network. And then ironically, when Warner and Turner eventually merged in 1996, that was the first time in history since the 50s that all the Looney Tunes were actually under one roof again. So this has happened before. It will happen again. Maybe if whoever buys the Looney Tunes brings them back to life, WB will bounce back and buy them back. Or maybe they won't. Maybe this is permanent and whoever buys them keeps them. Now, in yesterday's video, I talked about the odds that some of these canceled cartoon projects might come back to life. I do think the silver lining here is now that the Looney Tunes are being freed up, that increases the chances for some of these projects, especially Bye Bye Bunny, the unfinished movie animatic. I'm going to raise my forecast on the revival of Bye Bye Bunny from 30% yesterday to 40% now that I know the sale is in play. And my reason behind that is that I think if someone was to buy the Looney Tunes and was to try to make something with them, Bye Bye Bunny would be a really attractive option because the movie is sitting there 30% finished and you could immediately rush it into production and get it released in like maybe a year or two. Unfortunately, though, this is just the Looney Tunes brand that's going onto the sales table. It does not include Cartoon Network, even though seemingly it seems like Cartoon Network is the next domino to fall. And if Cartoon Network were to go down in another deal, Cartoon Network does not include DC, aka Teen Titans Go. So there is now a super bleak reality where WB could theoretically sell Cartoon Network and then bleakly transform Cartoon Network into a 24-hour Teen Titans Go channel, which it kind of has already been for a while. But the bad thing here about WB selling the Looney Tunes is that this is the first crack in WB's dam as an existent studio, showing that Zaslav might have really run the studio into the ground, that they're now forced to sell off their beloved IP to stay afloat, which is one of the most absolutely desperate and dying moves that a film studio can do. If I had to make a call, I think what we're seeing right now is the first step in a full dissolution of WB, where basically WB will become HBO Discovery and all the other brands will go their separate ways. I think, and my personal hope, is that the Looney Tunes are hopefully moving to Paramount Plus. I'm with my insider friend that I think that's the best play for them to stay relevant and hopefully get some new content going too. I would accept Universal and DreamWorks taking them over as well. I just think Universal and DreamWorks have more of their own agenda that they put first, and the Looney Tunes would always be second fiddle there. Another domino that's about to fall is DC. James Gunn's Superman movie doing well in July is really the fucking pivot point that will determine whether or not DC will stay a Warner Brothers brand, and I think there is a very strong chance that DC will also be sold to Universal in the future because Universal has been looking to buy them. Universal doesn't have a functioning superhero and comic book department, and they've been looking for one to replace Marvel ever since Disney bought exclusivity with Marvel. The Harry Potter cinematic universe is also technically moving towards the table as well. WB is supposedly rebooting Harry Potter as the brand new non-woke revisionist version of Harry Potter for Max sometime soon, which will be a TV show written by the now crazy and anti-trans happy version of J.K. Rowling who breathes in mold. If WB bungles that, Universal has also been dying to buy up the Harry Potter rights from WB for years, and that's number one on their demand list. So far, we haven't heard anything new about Cartoon Network, but I think that if Looney Tunes are falling, Cartoon Network has a really good chance of escaping. But I'm just so fucking mad that they're escaping now after the fact that their building's been sold and damage has been done. And that's about all I think I have to say there. But the more I think about it, I think Zaslav and fucking WB Discovery will probably hold on to the most profitable HBO properties, and that will just be what happens. We're going to end up with HBO Discovery, and everything else is going to fall to the wayside. But you know what? The more I think about this, the angrier I get, because when I bought HBO Max back in the day, I bought it to watch DC, Looney Tunes, and Cartoon Network. I was all about supporting the production of like the Harley Quinn show and more seasons of Infinity Train, and now all that's being peeled off and like put to sunder. Man, fuck all that. Maybe it's time for me to cancel Max. I mean, I'm still trying to binge through Jellystone, but damn them off to hell. They're taking away everything I want to see. The only thing worse than a corporate merger is a corporate dissection, and this is going to be probably like one of the most consequential like decisions of like our lives, I guess, in terms of like splitting up this company and like moving their assets around and like dividing all these characters that have like been united for so long. So yeah, what do you guys think about this? Are you happy that the Looney Tunes are hopefully going to thrive with some people who are going to support them? Or are you mad at David Zaslav for burning WB to the ground and selling the ashes? By the way, if you guys care about indie animation, please consider supporting the Mutant Busters, a show I make with my 4 friends. And yeah, we make it all ourselves, and we could really use some more views. All right, let me know what you think. Good night, everybody.